Welcome everyone to our special session with an incredible life coach. We're so excited to dive into our discussion on mental wellness and entrepreneurship today. Before we dive in, let me introduce someone who truly embodies empowerment and resilience. Her name is Vimbai Gapara. Vimbai is a dedicated life coach with a counseling heart, passionate about helping others overcome limiting beliefs and outdated values that hold them back. As a wife, a mother of three, a businesswoman, Vimbai is all about promoting mental wellness and supporting people on their journey to true healing and joy. Her mission is to uplift and empower women with tools they need to thrive, both personally and professionally.
Yes, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today to spend it with us and our viewers, Vimbai. So, to kick things off, let's talk a bit about your background and what inspired you to become a life coach.
Thank you so much, and hi all. It's an honor to be part of this amazing forum and to be of influence in the area of mental wellness. My life has been an interesting journey. Being an entrepreneur myself, I've often felt alone or rather lacked enough support that could help me address some of the personal mental challenges that came about when I was running my own businesses. It seemed as though even fellow female entrepreneurs were just going at it in autopilot and not realizing the need to find real professional support. And even when you reached out to the ones that had been in the business space for longer, they just didn't have like a blueprint of how to navigate you through the personal challenges that they faced. And so for me to then decide that I needed to be a life coach is because I realized that there was a gap in putting together the tools that were necessary to frame a strategy of how a female entrepreneur can navigate through the challenges and even the successes, because sometimes you are not able to acknowledge the successes. It's almost like we have to downplay them and just go ahead on with the challenges.
Thank you so much, Bimbai, for sharing your journey and your expertise and what inspired you to be a mental wellness and life coach. What are some frequent themes or issues that your clients struggle with?
So mostly it's the inability to be vulnerable, because in most cases, female entrepreneurs, or maybe just in general, there's this need to exude strength and control, and I've got it all figured out mentality, like let me just pretend I'm successful. And it's really like a lack of vulnerability in my opinion. So I find that it's very difficult to break into the space of getting the assistance based on those limitations of just opening up to, I need help, or I'm struggling with this. And also when you compare yourselves to other people, it makes it seem as if you are not measuring up to, there's something wrong that you're doing. So then it blocks people from opening up.
I'm actually so glad that you raised that because at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I actually felt pressure to maintain that image of success, that pretend success you're talking about. That's what social media was spewing at me, that fake it till you make it strategy, especially in the face of real challenges. So do you find that this pressure contributes to feelings of imposter syndrome among female entrepreneurs?
Absolutely, absolutely, Rikia. And it is that whole thing of wanting to keep up, with the Joneses in the business space, to appear as if you're, getting things right, because there's a judgment that comes with failure. And so you've got to appear as if you're achieving, you are on target, you are making things happen. And like you've mentioned, social media is a breeding ground. I mean, it's the most amazing breeding ground for that to manifest itself, because you can portray anything that you want. You can mask anything that you want. Take a better picture of of what seems to be not going right and make it seem like it's going right. So it then registers in other entrepreneurs as success. So no one gets to see the underlying failures, challenges, struggles, and it then puts pressure on the rest of, the other entrepreneurs, people that are in the same business space, to portray success. So it's a space where I don't want to say there's fakeness. There's a bit of control, impression management there, just to make it seem like things are in order. But then when you realize that people are not being vulnerable, you probably are facing the same struggles all throughout the business spectrum.
Thank you, Vimbai, for sharing with us. Give us some of the key signs of imposter syndrome and ways to address it.
Okay, so before I get into the key signs of imposter syndrome, I would like to just, get into what it actually means. What is an imposter syndrome? And it is a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments and fear being exposed as a fraud. So despite evidence of success or competence, people experience this syndrome and often struggle with persistent feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, even when they're actually having tangible results of success. And yeah, so I'll say that is what, the imposter syndrome is. And so to then come up with the key signs, or what would be the key signs of imposter syndrome, overworking, because now you need to cover up that, or sort of like wear a mask. And so you've got to overwork yourself to achieve, so that you can prove that this is who I am. And then perfectionism, just feeling like I need to present something in with a certain standard, with a certain, maybe qualification, whatever it is, but there's a level of a high perfectionism. And then fear of exposure. So fear of exposure now means you've got to cover up a lot of things, a lot of flaws. And this is where people will not be vulnerable, because fear means that you've got to hide under something else so that people don't figure you out. So those are some of the key signs of imposter syndrome. And then when you get to then addressing them, it really goes down to acknowledging the feelings, just realizing that, look, this is what I'm going through, and I need to be real with myself. Understanding that your capabilities do not reflect the outcome of your business or its performance or who you are, because a brand is also attached to the person. So now there's a conflict of both intertwined. And also you just need to reframe your thoughts. Challenge those negative thoughts by focusing on the evidence of your accomplishments and strengths. Because you really need to be honest with yourself and put things into perspective without being too hard on yourself. And in seeking feedback is also another good way of just keeping yourself in check. And this, I mean, people that you trust, your colleagues, your mentors, family, anyone who's able to see through your successes and just give you, criticism that will help you go forward. Setting realistic goals also, because I think sometimes we then end up, like, again, I'm saying, being hard on yourself. You want to achieve so much, and by so doing, you're overworking yourself, which is another sign that we mentioned before. So it then piles up and it just makes everything more complicated and, compromises the quality of your work or your business performance and everything in it.
Yeah, Vimbai, you just mentioned something that I find I do a lot, and I'm sure many other entrepreneurs do as well, and it's that negative self-talk. So, how can someone, or rather female entrepreneurs, develop strategies to counter negative self-talk, and maybe replace it with positive affirmations? Are there specific techniques or exercises you could perhaps recommend?
Okay, so to begin with, you need to be self-aware. Self-awareness is the key foundation for you to be able to realize what's going on. And this means that you've got to have a set of people, a group of people that can give you feedback on your ways of thinking. And unfortunately, our thinking is framed by the communities that we belong to. And sometimes our own thinking can then mess us up. So you want to really have people that share the same values as you, or people at least that you emulate their success or their values or the way they do things. And then, develop a culture of journaling. Journaling is an amazing way to declutter your negative thoughts. So you want to prune your negative thoughts before they develop into other toxic beliefs. And eventually they lead to behavior. And, so in the training that I did, Living Wisdom, you've got to trace and face and replace. So whatever thought it is, you've got to trace it, you've got to face it, and you've got to replace it. Okay. So for example, if you feel like, oh, I'm stupid, are you really? No, you're not. So you've got to trace where is that coming from, and then replace those thoughts with, no, I'm just maybe learning a new skill. So I'm going to fail as I get better at it. So that's already replacing. So you face that thought of I'm stupid with, no, I'm learning a new skill. And this is this is the process of learning a new skill. It's not that I'm stupid. So that's another example of just, decluttering those negative thoughts, and being compassionate to yourself, and you've got to make your mind your friend. Again, this is another living wisdom, and nugget that you've got to make your mind your friend. And when we're talking about friendship, a friend is somebody who cares for you. A friend is somebody who's going to tell you the truth in love, and they're going to be very, whatever advice they give you it has got to be wise. You can tell that this is a time that I need to be compassionate. This is the time that I need to be honest. This is the time that I need to be brutal. So whatever stage of being compassionate to yourself, you have to be able to be honest with yourself, with kindness, with compassion, with honesty, without having to nurture certain feelings that then don't bring results of what exactly you want to achieve. Yeah, so I would say those are, some of the areas that you can work on. And then, so within the journaling space, you can, there's gratitude, again, being able to measure what you've achieved, what you want to achieve, looking deeper into your own emotions, validating what's true and what isn't true, and then facing them as they come and making sure that you reframe them in a positive way that propels you to the next level.
Oh, amazing. These are such amazing techniques, and I'm going to apply some of this so that I can gradually shift my mindset from negative self-talk to like a more positive and self-affirming perspective. Thank you, Vimbai. Since we're talking about moving that perspective to a more positive light about yourself, I want to ask you for our community that go through like how can they manage stress? So my question is that what are some of the ways to recognize the early signs of stress? And how can entrepreneurs integrate mindful practices into their daily routines?
Yes, stress is a big one, hey, Vimbai, so thanks for that question. So stress is really a result of overwhelming pressure beyond one's capacity to manage or handle. You'll find that you're unable to focus, concentrate, prioritize, and you end up, accomplishing less than you would have when your mind is healthy, or if you're going to try and compare, stages in your life when you're operating under stress and when you're operating in your full capacity, in your full healthy mind capacity. So you want to be able to re-energize yourself, because there's nothing that takes away from losing enthusiasm along the way, and you've got to guard your enthusiasm. And this means that taking breaks when necessary, and you also need to be able to realize, am I tired? What's tired? Is it my mind that is tired? Is it my body that is tired? Whatever is tired, you need to then make it rest. If it's your mind, then you need to rest your mind. If it's your body, then you need to rest your body. If it's both, you may need to take a vacation. So those are some of the, signs that you want to deal with stress. And you've got heightened emotions that come with stress, also just fear, anger, anxiety, pressure. And then you also end up holding to other survival kits to sort of like downplay the stress, because you're thinking you're in control, but what is actually driving you is the stress, and it breeds more stress. And then the beat goes on, stress begets stress. So those are some of the things that I would say, you need to face head on, just making sure you are not spiraling out of control.
That's fantastic, because what I'm hearing is that we have to actually do a lot of introspection. We've got to take a minute to ascertain what our trigger points are. And I'm a very practical person. So, can you share a few practical mindfulness techniques that I can easily incorporate in my busy schedule? Because I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs would benefit from that.
Yes. There are some mindfulness techniques that you can incorporate in just trying to alleviate that pressure, And one that I really like is the 5-point technique, which is take a moment to just be still, and then name 5 things that you can see. So in a room setup, you're looking around wherever you are, could be outside, could be in a room, could be wherever. Just take a moment to look around, name 5 things that you can see, okay? Mindfully, putting your mind into those 5 things. We're talking about sight. And then the 4th, which is so this is the 5. Number 4 is name 4 things you can hear. So close your eyes and listen. Pay attention to the sounds that are around, and try as much as possible to identify 4 different sounds. Okay, be attentive. Number 3 is name 3 things you can feel. So now here we are on touch, feel. Concentrate on that sense of touch to further ground yourself. Become aware of these things. What can you feel? What do they feel like? If it's a cloth, what's the texture? Is it silky? Is it cottony? Is it rough? Is it a stone? Whatever it is it a hard rock? Whatever it is, just being able to feel 3 things. And then number 2 is to name 2 things that you can smell. So opening up your sensory to smell. What can you smell? What is it? You know, can you describe it? What does it smell like? Is it an aroma? Is it coffee? Is it floral? Is it you know, whatever, you know, just being able to pick up on the smells and describe them and actually make note of them. And then number 1 is name 1 thing you can taste. Okay, so you can decide, you can go for something, you know, and mindfully taste it and describe the taste. So it could be a cup of coffee, it could be a glass of water, you know, as you taste it, what, you know, what's the form of it, you know, because you really want to be able to describe it. So this technique really helps you to take your mind off of whatever pressure you're going through. Could be anxiety, could be pressure, whatever it is. It refocuses your mind on things that that bring gratitude, or things that are tangible or you can feel. So it recalibrates your mind, so to speak. I don't know if that makes sense. There are other techniques that you can do without having to go deeper into them. Breath work is one of them that is being advocated for. I would say that one. But Rukia, also at the end of it all, you really want to, this has to be like a stopgap, like maybe it's a moment of pressure that you're experiencing. Over time, you want to be able to eliminate any of these happening. And that goes back to working on your mind, your mental wellness, being able to figure out that this is an anxiety that is coming. Your limiting beliefs now have to be something that you work on a regular, so that they don't, these feelings, these negative feelings do not resurface often, because you don't want to have a situation where every day you're having mindfulness exercises. Let it be something that is a new phenomenon that is causing this to happen. But even when it does happen, you still have the grounding of your belief framework. So you're in control. You're not spiraling out of control. I don't know if that makes sense, but yes, those definitely do work in a crisis, in a new environment, if facing a new challenge. So yeah, I would say, yeah, you probably want to work more on your mind and then implement the mindfulness strategies as a band-aid, but also realizing that, look, this is an indication that I need to work on this, so that it doesn't have the same strength when it reappears again. It's of a lesser strength when it does appear.
I love that. I think I will try this technique, because I love that technique of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because now it's forcing me to be still, be centered, and bring me back to the present moment. And I love what you said as well, because one of my strategies as well is I name and shame. So whatever is sort of negative wise, like negative talk, or what's bringing me down, or if I feel like I'm falling into imposter syndrome again, I name what it is and I shame. It's like, I'm not that, you better, you are this, you are that, you can move forward, you are strong. And falling back to your belief system is so important. And I love that, because you need a solid foundation, is what I'm hearing. And you need to be solid within yourself. And whatever you're doing, you have to have a why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? What is making you move in that direction of entrepreneurial, like on the entrepreneurial journey, for example? And at the very beginning, I like that you said you were feeling lonely, because every entrepreneur I feel feels lonely at some point. And it's that why that has to be strong enough to help you through that downtime, help you through the rough, challenging times. So thank you so much for those techniques. I think it sort of goes into burnout, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of moving targets, like I find within myself and in the business space. And I'm sure Vimbiso can attest to that as well. There's so many moving targets, and I feel like we sort of spread thin, and it can lead into burnout for a lot of us. And Vimbiso and I were speaking the other day, like we're really quite tired. I think we just need a little bit of a break because we've been full speed ahead with CoCo Africa Hub. And again, this is a major milestone for us having you on our very first webinar. But as we start, we also want to put strategies and techniques in place to help us recognize burnout or not to have burnout. So, what are your top strategies to prevent burnout and perhaps maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because I'm telling you, for the past 8 years, 9 years that I've been doing this, I still haven't figured out that work-life balance, like truly 100%. So what would your strategies be?
I think from my own personal experience is you've got to stop running. You have to, because running then means you are in an autopilot that you don't control. And it can lead you into other challenges that you're not able to stop. So you've got to be able to be still. And I'll refer back to the journaling technique, that journaling then makes you realize and see where exactly you're running. You know, if you're being honest with yourself, if you've got maybe even people that are giving you feedback about how you're going on. And oftentimes you will have, silent hints on, I think you're overworking yourself. Don't you think you need a break? You know, you may know that you need a break, but then if you're now in the signs of that imposter syndrome that we're talking about, that you've got to work hard. And if those are the beliefs that you have, that if you're not working hard, then you're lazy, you then forget that you need rest. All work, no play is the zone that you're entering now. So you've got to be able to stop running, be honest with yourself, check yourself. And burnout also brings about, again, those emotions of anxiety, because you're now not able to regulate yourself. You're not still enough to be able to regulate yourself. Checking your expectations, again, we go back to the goal setting. Are they like achievable goals? Are you being realistic with yourself? Are your expectations not too high on yourself and those around you? Because people around us are also very, very clever in how they can manipulate expectations from us as well. So you've got to be realistic with yourself that, look, the expectations of A, B, C, D, I'm not able to achieve them. Rather, let me reframe it and say, this is what I can do, because we can be set up for failure by other people's expectations. And then we're going to go to like getting help. If you're somebody that does not easily reach out for help, this is one thing that you'll need to work on, because help is something that is now going to take away some of the weight that you're carrying, And when you're talking about burnout, it's not necessarily just the physical part, it's also the mental part. So both work hand in hand. And like I said before, you've got to realize what is tired here, what is wearing out here, and address it accordingly. Yes, and I think when you go down to the emotions as well, is getting help, again, is can be a mentor, a counselor, whatever beliefs that you share can be that setup that can then realign you into a place of peace, of recalibrating yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, so that you can, perform again. So it's really like a pivoting for your mind, for your brain, for your performance, for your well-being. So when you're, like I'm saying, when you're tired, learn to take those breaks, learn to identify what is tired, so that you can guard your enthusiasm. Guarding your enthusiasm is one of the driving forces for why you're running the business and how you run it and how effective it will be, and how you'll continue running it. Because if you get tired, if you run out of enthusiasm, if you run out of steam, there's no need to carry on. You might as well just shelve it and not even bother doing it at all.
Oh, these are so lovely. Like burnout preventions and also having that balance, the work-life balance. Me and Rukia were always dwelling on each other. That's why we need each other. We have 50-50, sometimes I'm 80, Rukia is 20, sometimes Rukia is 80, I'm 20. We always just make sure we're 100 and we lean on each other. And I think as an entrepreneur, you always need a support network, a community that they can back you up when you're feeling burnout, and ways that you can prevent those burnout. So thank you so much, Vimbai. Well, since you're talking about burnout and building a network, building a network is often mentioned as a key factor in preventing burnout. What advice do you have for finding and nurturing meaningful mentorship programs or relationships?
Okay, so I want to say I'm excited about it, but also you've got to be very with caution, take this with caution, because social media, the digital space, has opened us up to so much more. And you can literally find a group on, I'll use an example of Facebook, that addresses whatever challenges that you may be facing. It could be like a startup, like maybe financial guide to a business, to a business that is starting, or whatever it is. It could be marketing strategies that are out there. It could be dealing with failure in business. So literally anything, you can find resources online. But then again, you've got to be very, very cautious about where you get advice from or support from, because our value systems can and sometimes will clash. So mindfully do so, and get something, or even a mentor. Identify a mentor, somebody who has walked the path that you are trying to walk on. Getting coaching, coaching is it's a good way of just navigating through what is the next step, what are the, so that you can still be stimulated and get the support that you need as you go along. There are documentaries, there are books out there that you can also read. We're in a space where you can get reviews, where you can get summaries of books. So if you're somebody who doesn't have the time, those are some of the tools that you can utilize. Just watching documentaries of people that have maybe started businesses, female entrepreneurs. People like telling their stories. So it's also good to just, watch those stories, take in what you take in, what identifies and resonates with you, take in those stories and apply them to your own personal life.
It's so amazing chatting to you, Vimbai. I mean, we can sit here all day hanging on your every word. It is so inspiring and it's so lovely. And I've definitely been taking a lot of notes. And I think Vimbai, both myself and Vimbiso will be inculcating a few of these in our strategies going forward. Because like Vimbiso said, we thrive in supporting each other because we feel like together we can go further, right? So creating a support network, it's essential for mental wellness, right? So we have a support system within each other, and we have a support system around us with our families. So how can female entrepreneurs in general, because most of us are solopreneurs, right? How can how can they build a strong sort of network outside of business?
So I think that the digital world has really opened us up to so much that forums like CoCo Africa Hub, this one here, can help us find or build up on resources that will help entrepreneurs that are struggling with certain things, or that need help, that need navigation, that need like a working blueprint. Um, and you know that you've gotten the right people to address these issues. Okay, so CoCo Africa Hub is one that I would say, be part of, and I'm sure there's several others out there. It's just a matter of just, paying attention, looking, asking, that's where the asking for help comes in. Because you'll be surprised when you ask, you sort of like do find, and if you're intentional about finding help, you will find it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel also that because we can't do everything ourselves, we need to delegate, or we need the assistance to move forward. So thank you for that, Vimbai.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
I
just to add
mean,
on to that one, you just raised something that's very important on delegating. And sometimes if you're a perfectionist, or if you're a control freak, you're going to want to have a print on everything that you do. But then it then leads into stress, into burnout, into all those other things that we're trying to avoid. So you also need to get a team of people that you can trust, maybe even show the ropes and say, look, this is how I want things done. They may not do it perfectly, but as you work with them, they will slowly grasp your needs and how you want things done. And before you know it, you've got a task that's completed by somebody else, and you don't have to worry about that task. So just learning to delegate. And I'm glad that you've also highlighted that.
thank you so much for your time today, Vimbai. I mean, thank you for sharing your insights with us today. It's been an incredible conversation, incredible insights, and I know that our audience will take away so much value from it. But before we wrap up, is there sort of like one final piece of advice that you'd like to share with our audience about managing their mental wellness as a whole while pursuing their entrepreneurial journey?
It is your foundation. Mental health is your foundation. It's your engine to running anything, even outside of any business, your own personal life. You really need to prioritize that, because there are other pressures that come that are outside of work. Now imagine you've got your business, and that's just now another challenge that you'll face if your mental health is not in check. So running a business definitely means that you've got to have a much stronger stamina mentally, because the challenges are way more than maybe being an employee, or being a student, or being, whatever personal capacity. Prioritize your mental health. It is one of the most, I think we're now in an age where things are evolving so much that mental health is now being exposed. I think back in the day, we did have structures of support, and there was not much of people starting businesses. People mostly just, employed, or stay-at-home moms, and but they did the bare minimum. But now there is more that needs to be done. People are realizing that they're worth much more. They can do much more. They can achieve much more. But then you can only do so much if you're also being honest with yourself, if you're also in check mentally, and doing what is necessary.
Lovely, lovely, Vimbai. Would love to hear more about your upcoming projects or initiatives that you're excited about. Where can our audience connect with you and learn more?
Yeah, so we do have interesting programs that are going to be coming. Africa Hub and we are, creating exciting things for the future. So please do stay tuned and connect. I shall share my details also on my Instagram page, and yeah, guys can follow me, and let's create a community. Let's create this mind wellness movement amongst the women, and people alike, to just get empowered and to be healthier.
Thank you so much for your time again, Vimbai. And also thank you to our audience for tuning in. We hope you found this discussion as inspiring and informative as we did.
Thank you so much, CoCo Africa Hub, for having me. It's been nice having this conversation, Rukia and Vimbi. So I've really, really enjoyed this. Mental health is something that is so dear to me. But I also want to put it out there that if you know of anybody who's experiencing serious mental health challenges, it is important to reach out to qualified psychiatrists, psychologists, and other mental health practitioners, because there are certain conditions that actually need maybe a different treatment modality. Yeah, we are not able to do that, but it is important to be aware of such. So thank you so, so very much. I've enjoyed this.
I totally agree with you, Vimbai. CoCo Hub is here to empower and uplift, but your mental health is crucial, and getting the right help when needed is key. Thank you for joining us today for our session on mental wellness. We've covered a lot of ground, from mindfulness techniques to stress management strategies. We appreciate your active participation. Remember, mental wellness is a journey, not a destination. Keep exploring strategies that work for you, and don't hesitate to seek support if needed. We hope to see you again at our future webinars. CoCo Africa Hub has plenty more in store for you. Until next time, goodbye and take care.